Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's a great pleasure to have this panel together. I apologize for the few minutes of delays for the people that are following us on YouTube. But as always joke, we are the space sector, so we should be used to delays anyway. I'm really happy to be here and bringing together the speakers from such a varied background, representing the excellence of what Europe has to offer to the world in terms of space industry and organizations. Today, I will be moderating this session, which I envision to be divided in three main areas. So at first, we will have a little bit of quick rundown among the various companies and organizations, so they will be able to introduce themselves. And we will discuss briefly on what is leadership in space. Then I will focus more on the excitement part, so on the upcoming missions. And finally, we will focus more on what is communicating, why is important communicating space, what we can see from space agencies like NASA, which is doing a great job, and what Europe also has to offer. And finally, we will focus on the audience, because the SU audience is very diverse. We have around 52 different nationalities represented among our delegates, and I'm sure that they are also very eager to ask their own questions, so we will try to have time to focus on that. So yeah, I will briefly introduce the various speakers, and now every speaker has around 2 minutes to present their own organization. I think we can start with Mr. Cugno. Let me know if you see my screen, because I will be sharing my screen right now.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so I will start presenting also Mr. Cugno and all the speakers. Mr. Cugno has a degree in aeronautic engineering. Is pretty much always been working in space business and inspiration in human space flight. Has been involved in the first European Spaceman Laboratory, Space Lab. He worked through Thales and the companies that became to be Thales Alenia Space in programs related to the space stations, as are the Harmony and the Tranquility nodes, the QPLMO, the permanent multipurpose logistic modules of the space station, the Cugno cargos, ExoMars, and so on and so forth. So he has a very big story, big background on what is human exploration and space exploration connected to international endeavors. And today he's here as the Vice President in Exploration and Science Domain and the Torino sites responsible for Thales Alenia Space Italy. So Walter, I leave you the floor.
Yes, thank you very much for the invitation and for the presentation. Good afternoon to everybody. So I am representing Thales Alenia Space, that, as you know, is a Franco-Italian joint venture owned by Thales from France and from Leonardo from Italy. We are very active in all field of space business except launcher. We have leadership in telecommunication, Earth observation, optical and radar observation, navigation. We just, everybody know that our great success on the Copernicus acquisition in the past week. And of course, exploration and science, which is the domain which I am representative. The picture show that since we have been participated to the International Space Station while providing almost 50% of the pressurized element of the station, now we are moving to Moon, to Mars, through the Lunar Gateway, where we have a good participation from the European side, as well. We are also participating in partnership with the American company to the US element. We, as a Thales Alenia Space, are actually being selected also in a partnership with an American partner for the development of the human space lander, which will bring the astronaut back to the moon. This is the picture of the concept we are studying together with our partners. And you can move to the next. We are strongly looking to the developing the moon infrastructure that will support the exploration and the exploitation of moon in terms of science and also in terms of resource exploitation. This just in preparation of what will be one of the main objectives for the human space exploration, which is Mars. Maybe you can go, which we are actively working right now in the robotic exploration of the planet as the leader in Europe for the ExoMars mission. And we are also while working in developing all the technology which will be required to bring humanity to Mars and to start developing the infrastructure for the Mars exploration and exploitation. So we are very active in this field. I guess we are mastering a lot of technology in all the area, in many of the areas which are required to be able to be a first level player on this exploration, in the exploration field. And of course, this is what we say is the real space, new space economy for the future, which is linked to exploration and to acquire, utilizing the resource of the moon, asteroid, and later on Mars. As well as we don't have to forget that working in low Earth orbit is also a key element for the future, and we are actively working and participating in the development of the first commercial space station that will operate in parallel and after the dismissal of the International Space Station, as well as on orbital platform to allow to make developing and experimenting micro-G environment. We are the leader in Europe for a re-entry vehicle, which is, of course, strongly supported by the Italian government within the European Space Agency environment.
Okay.
That's for the moment is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cugno. I'm pretty sure we will have an opportunity throughout this hour to talk about what Thales Alenia Space Italy is doing. I would like to move to the next organization, EUMETSAT. So I'm introducing Federico Fierli. Federico is working at EUMETSAT since 2019 as a training officer and expert in atmosphere dynamics and chemistry. And his job focuses on teaching about many aspects of satellite data and applications to a wide range of users. And I'm pretty sure that all delegates can also appreciate that. So Federico, you have 2 minutes to explain what EUMETSAT is and what it's doing.
Thank you, Matteo. Thank you very much. Yeah, EUMETSAT is an international organization that is based in Darmstadt, and we are active since the mid-80s. EUMETSAT is made by European countries, and now our council that drives all our decision and our politic is made by the 30 different European countries that you see there. So it's mostly all Europe. Our mission is to monitor the weather and the climate and also pollution from space, and so to manage the different generation of satellite data. And to do this, also we must be sure that there is a correct data uptake. We need to build the know-how in the user, in our partners, and we also support the European Copernicus program, operating together with the main agency. I mean, one above all is ESA, and also the European and outside Europe services. You can go on next slide, for instance. Yes, here you see, I mean, the complexity of the Earth observation satellites that are orbiting above our planet from 2010, and you see that the program spans until 2035. So at the end, the EUMETSAT, together with the support of ESA, will operate some dozens of satellites of different generations. So with the technological, scientific, and the spatial big endeavor. And as you see, also there is a component of Copernicus that is a wider European program that was launched in the last decade that will take over and will develop with our support and the support of ESA a series of the so-called Sentinels that you have probably heard about. And we can go probably on the last slide. So EUMETSAT is composed of 600 staff with important hirement in the last few years. So we are composed of Europe-wide specialists, going from flight engineers to scientists, and we work a lot with the European industry with a large portfolio of contracts. And you see here in the image that if you just touch, they will start to populate the slide. The image of the next missions that we'll probably talk in the next part of the discussion. Our two big backbones are the METOPS second generation and the METOSAT third generation, that are a series of satellites that will have more than 35 instruments for monitoring the climate, meteorology, pollution from space, with an unprecedented resolution and really the capability to improve both the nowcasting, so the understanding of the weather and of the climate in the moment where meteorological phenomena happens, and also to improve the meteorological forecast. So that's everything for now.
Thank you, Federico. The next person I would like to introduce is Alexander Mager from Arianegroup. He's responsible for the institutional relations and new space activities of Arianegroup. He holds the rank of lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve. He was working for Airbus helicopters in Dallas and then in France. Since in 2011, he moved to Airbus, the CTO department in Munich, to be the managing director of the Ludwig Virchow campus, a development and marketing company that was focusing to promote the activities of the campus, the innovation activities of the campus. And in January 2020, he joined Arianegroup with his current role. So Alexander, you have now the floor to introduce your organization.
Thank you very much, Matteo. Welcome to everybody. Pleasure to be with you. Yes, and I'd like to start by giving you a short overview of Arianegroup. Matteo, if you please go to the next slide. So Arianegroup is a Franco-German joint venture for launch vehicles. You have certainly all heard about Ariane 5 and Ariane 6, the main launches, pretty much known across Europe and beyond. We also carry out the launch services via Arianespace. In the defense sector, we play a major role in the French M51 program. And in terms of equipment and services, yeah, we are mainly active in propulsion systems, not only for launches, but as well for satellites. Next slide, please. We have about 9,000 employees spread in France and Germany, with 11 subsidiaries and main affiliates in these two countries. Not sure if I already mentioned, we are a joint venture company between Airbus and Safran, and we account for about 3 billion euros in revenues per year. What you see on the right-hand side are all the sites spread in France and Germany, and on the very left you see Kourou in French Guiana, where the launch pad is located for the Ariane launches. Next and the last slide, please. So what is our major objective for the years to come? Obviously is to bring Ariane 6 in the market. Ariane 6 is a development of Ariane 5, a truly versatile launcher for all kinds of missions. There will be two versions, the Ariane 6.2 and Ariane 6.4. We have 13 European countries involved in the development of this launcher. Yeah, and as said, since it's a very versatile launcher, we can address all orbits from LEO all the way to GTO or GEO missions. The first flight of Ariane 6 is foreseen in 2021. We can carry up to 12 tons for a geostationary transfer orbit, and the cadence right now is, as of today, limited at 12 launches per year, but that's obviously a flexible number. So that's all in terms of introduction of Arianegroup. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maga. The next speaker that I'm going to introduce is Elizabeth Seward. She's a senior space strategist at Airbus Defence and Space, responsible for strategic topics across all areas from satellite manufacturing, and the previous roles include working for the Earth Observation and Navigation Science Marketing team as a lead, also working on thermal engineering and mission system engineering for future programs. She is on the executive board of Women in Aerospace. She's the lead of the chair of the UK local group of the Women in Aerospace, and very active in the International Astronautical Federation, including in Entrepreneurship and Investment Committee. And also she's the representative of Airbus in the Seraphim Advisory Board. So Liz, you have now the floor.
Thank you very much. So Airbus, you can skip to the next one. Thanks. So Airbus has two divisions within the company. So the company builds commercial aircraft, as I'm sure many people know, but we also have defense and space and helicopters. Next slide. So we have 33,000 employees across the world, mostly based in our home countries of France, Germany, Spain, the UK, and Italy, but also with an office in the US and some other outposts. So we do the end-to-end space systems, and we work with many of the partners on the panel. In exploration, we built the Columbus module for the ISS along with Thales Alenia Space. We're working on the Orion service module to help the US return to the moon in their new their moon program. We're also running the Bartolomeo platform, a way to get commercial access to the International Space Station for companies around Europe. On the science side, we built the Rosetta mission that went to the comets, and future projects are going to Jupiter to explore the icy moons with the JUICE mission and the ExoMars rover, which will launch in 2022. And on the Earth observation side, we're active in the Copernicus program. Very pleased to see the METOP satellites from EUMETSAT and METOP second generation. And also we work on some of the science Earth observation missions like Aeolus, which is using a laser in space to measure wind speed throughout the atmosphere. And even though it was a scientific mission, it's already delivering data to improve our weather forecasting models. We also have satellites that take high resolution Earth observation data and power our services business, including online platforms like Up42, enabling small companies to easily access the data online. And then in telecoms, we do both civil and secure communications and the services alongside those. So thank you very much. Delighted to be here today.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, the final speaker for this panel that I'm introducing is Norbert Lemke from OHB. Norbert is the Deputy Director of Predevelopment, Space System Studies and Proposal at OHB since 2014. Is the responsible program director from quantum technologies within OHB, so including quantum communications, quantum key distribution, time frequency standards. Is the co-initiator, a member and expert advisor to the Quantum Technologies Working Group within the company. Is the project managers for various European Union, European Commission, ESA and DLR funded projects on various companies, including being the project manager for ESA Earth Explorer 9 mission candidate, and for the payload and instrument suite of the current ESA Earth Explorer 10 mission candidate Daedalus. So I will now pass to Norbert's presentation. But Norbert, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Matteo. Thank you for the invitation, and hello also from my side. Please, yes, start with the presentation. OHB is a company, so on the next slide, please, which started more or less in a garage, like for example Apple did in the past. So in the 80s, we started there with a acquisition of the Fuchs family by the Fuchs family of a company which was called OHB. This was then increased, and now we are more than 2,000 employees. So in these times, it was pretty interesting for us and really exciting. And on the next slide, I show you what we are currently working on. So here is one mission, which is a mission together where ESA collaborates with NASA. So there's the AIDA, the asteroid impact and deflect assessment with a NASA part DART, and the ESA part is called HERA. And here we think this is really something where we can show the public that this is really exciting. A mission where 2 spacecraft will travel to this asteroid system where 2 asteroids are. So one is then Didymos, and the other one is impacted by NASA. So the smaller one, Dimorphos, and this will be then looked and viewed by this spacecraft here. And there are even 2 CubeSats traveling with them. And with this, we assume that really a big public relation coverage can be possible. If the impact then shows that asteroids can be removed, then this is really something which is very interesting for us, and which can also be then seen as an example where we can deflect asteroids, maybe targeting the Earth. So on the next slide, we have also another interesting programs like the Copernicus. This is an image here taken from the coast of Bangladesh. So the benefits here are really clear to the general public. The Copernicus missions need better PR marketing campaign, not only to the end users but also to the general public. And this is really what we can get excited about, and the data will be made available and can be worked on, and different products, not only from the space but also from ground companies can be used, and even any private person can work with this. So it's really an exciting thing, and therefore, if you go to the next slide or the last one, the motto should be: don't ask, just do it. And we shall try new things. We could make mistakes, but we have to learn, and when we can do it better next time. So thank you, and I'm open to any discussion later on.
Thank you, Norbert. All right, I will stop sharing my screen now, and I think we can just jump into this panel. So a first question, very quick question I would like to ask all of you, as the panelists titled Space Leadership and Public Engagement. I would like to start asking you all what space leadership actually means. What do you think we can include in space leadership? And I don't know if you have any thought on this, and who wants to start, feel free to jump in.
I could start on this one. So when I was thinking about space leadership, I came up with 3 things. Working on the very large scale projects and bringing together a team of partners to do so seems to be the sort of obvious leadership sort of choice. But I think it's also innovating and developing new ideas and new technologies and sort of leading the way in terms of how we do things. But also, I think to be in a leadership position, you also have to help develop the supply chain and work with the startups. And it's about engaging the ecosystem and building the space sector. And so for me, it's those 3 areas that gives you the space leadership.
Okay, thank you. Somebody else?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, then I'll take over. Well, Liz is perfectly right. So leadership is not something which one company can do by itself, by its own. So we have to include others as well. And well, OHB is one of the large 3 scale space integrators, and we have to take others into the boat. We have to build up a team where all the smaller companies, small medium enterprises are part of it. We have to include the universities to include the students for ideas, for coming up with new projects, and to include everyone. And for the public, we could also think of including them when we really have these exciting missions, that we show that space is really a great thing, and that this is something which we can do in Europe and which we can do together in between the companies and the public.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry, it was Walter that wanted.
Go ahead, Walter.
Talk, please.
I was jumping that I mostly agree what has been said by my colleague. I would say that the product and the mission give you the capability to provide a very ambitious project and program give you the possibility to be a leader, to master a field of activity on space, as well as in the anticipation is the vision that you are able to provide to the people, as well as to show you as a robust and reliable company, and to be a trainer on the ecosystem, which include, of course, university, academy, but the PMI, that you have to show that you are driving with your vision, with your capability, also the economy and the growing all the ecosystem that you can lead if you are representing your territory, your country.
Okay, Federico, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think all the definition are good. Just to give you an example, and also why an agency like EUMETSAT or like ESA are important. I mean, the point to work together and to have cooperation is crucial. I give an example to express not what is a leadership, but what a leadership can bring. So starting from the concept of the space missions, probably 30 years ago, and now having, for instance, a weather image on the app, on the telephones, and make use of them to take decision on where to go on the weekend, or take decision on what to do in terms of civil protection. And this is a huge effort that brings together everything has been said. So from engaging the science to inform the citizens, to inform the users, to work and to empower the business, and starting from innovating ideas and make them real, and make them on the table of the citizens, of European and non-European citizens. That's it.
Yes. I don't know. Yes, please, Alexander.
To add one more thing, I think it's all about courage as well. I mean, I think we all know we are working on, on what's on the edge of what's technically feasible. So definitely in anything we do, we have to be courageous, and we ought not to be fearful, and from time to time also to fail. So that's, I think, also a very important aspect in what we're doing, having the necessary courage to really tackle things.
Yes. Yes, thank you all for your replies. I really find interesting and inspiring that as Europeans, we are talking about being inclusive when it's about leadership. I think it's very important that we are here again as Europeans all together discussing about this. And this brings me to my next question, which is more on the engagement side of things. How is Europe different from, let's say, the United States or other space actors in terms of engaging and exciting the general public? Just a couple of words on your side. What do you think that why are we different in this sense? So in terms of engaging with the public.
May I step in here? So the startup scene in the US is different. You are able to create new companies. You get financed. This is a very valid development in the US. We see companies from all these billionaires popping up and with the idea just to do what they like, to do something in space. In Europe, it's different. In Europe, we have small startups, and they have to raise funds, and it's not so easy because the banks and no billionaires are available to finance things. So this is what we can change. And when we do public advertising like this conference here, for example, then this might help to let the people think about it and to try to improve things in Europe as well.
Okay, so I think we can focus on the engagement part of things. I think it's important to know what are and we all know what are the difference between US and Europe. I would like to focus more on the engagement part of things because we see, and data shows that there is a clear different level of support, like for space and space exploration among Americans and among Europeans. Europeans don't even fully grasp the European space program because there are so many going on at the same time. So I don't know what others or you as well, Norbert, might want to say in terms of why Europe is different on the engagement side of things.
Yeah, if I can, sorry, go ahead.
I think one area where we're a little behind is because we were not part of the space race with NASA and Russia to get to the moon. So NASA has been a household name since the 60s, whereas ESA is not yet a household name. And so how do we get it to be that name is a big challenge. I do know that certainly NASA had a big dip in popularity 10 years or so ago, and the budgets were declining and the people were less engaged. And so one of their solutions was to engage with Hollywood, to let the filmmakers into their institutions and their buildings, to really create an engagement, so that we saw projects like The Martian, films, Gravity. They actually worked with NASA, used the NASA logo and facilities to really kind of grasp the public imagination and to show the public what does it mean in human spaceflight. And so perhaps there's a lesson we can learn in that, in bringing popular media in and getting space into that popular media somehow. So personally, I think we'll have achieved parity when we see people on the street with ESA t-shirts rather than NASA t-shirts.
Yeah, that's correct. But there is also one thing, if I can add, that we are not able in Europe to have a vision, to be ambitious on going to space. We always follow what the others are doing in terms of exploration. And that is something which, if we don't have the courage to have very ambitious program and to get back to our vocation of exploration, which is still in the spirit of the American, this we will not be able to engage the young generation and the people. Because we are concentrated, we make advertising of projects which are linked to the utilization, like Copernicus, very great project, but are not engaging and exciting the people.
Okay, if somebody
But
else has
in some term,
yes, please,
yeah,
Federico.
sorry, yeah, it depends who are, I mean, who we wanted to engage with in our sector. So the sector of Earth observation, the gap with the US is getting smaller and smaller. And I mean, we can probably dare to say that with Copernicus, Europe will probably be the leader. Then the point is how to communicate this, but more important, what has been said before, how to engage and how to make this valuable. I mean, not only in terms of image, of publicity for the citizens. I mean, of course, we are not sufficiently engaged in the exploration, as Walter has said, but how to make use of this immense wealth of data, especially for the PMA, for the small business companies that, as we said, as has been mentioned, is extremely important. I see this type of engagement as one of the priority. I think this is quite clear in the Copernicus and in Europe. Of course, one of the role of all of us in broad sense is really to support that part. And of course, I mean, I do agree that the industry, the Hollywood made a big part with Gravity, with Interstellar, with movies, and I think that this type of work can be also stepped together with the communication that is done, for instance, in universities, in schools, and so on. In that sense, we are a little bit behind, but I'm quite optimistic. It's not a race, but is really to make a generation, a new generation in Europe more aware and more. I would say with more of alphabetism on science. That's very important.
Yeah. Thank you, Federico.
I share everything which has been said. I think we have really top shots working in space in Europe, but maybe that's also the reason why sometimes, you know, we are perceived being a little bit elitist. And I think that's also what Liz was saying. We may be perceived as a space industry being some nerds, you know, scientists not really looking left and right, but do our job, which again is a great job, which the European space industry and agencies are doing all together. But again, in terms of communication and not trying to be perceived, even though I don't think we don't want to be perceived as that, you know, this elitist aspect, that is probably something we can definitely work on.
Yes, I think this helps. I don't know if somebody wanted to comment this. I heard.
Yes, well, I wanted to say or to add something what Liz said. When it comes to directors in Hollywood, I think they're very good directors like Luc Besson or Roland Emmerich, really creating these big blockbusters. Okay, they are focused on NASA, but the ideas could come from Europe. And one other thing I would like to add is that we have really great space programs. Ariane, for example, okay, was driven by the CNES in the early days, but this is a success story. Galileo is a success story, and Copernicus is also a success story. We only have the problem that the European public only looks into the costs and the delays, which are usual, and we don't celebrate the success. I think this is the problem. We shall make more advertising of the success of these programs.
Yes. Yes, this gives me a great pivot to my next question, which is for all of you. Again, I think we have nothing to envy to the Americans. We Europeans have nothing to envy to the Americans. And the program, our space programs and our space industry show that we have excellence in Europe as well. And all the organizations are involved in the development of some future space missions or new launchers or new science missions for space. So very briefly, I would like to ask you all, and you already gave a little bit of an overview. How is your organization like building up on these upcoming missions or upcoming launchers or upcoming science missions, and what is doing to create public engagement for these upcoming missions? I don't know who wants to start.
I can start if.
Yes, please.
So, in our organization, of course, if we talk about exploration and science, we are deeply involved in one of the state-of-the-art satellite for science, which is Euclid, where we are the prime contractor for European Space Agency, which will study the dark energy and the dark matter of the universe, which is quite an extraordinary scientific mission. However, it's very difficult to communicate to all the people what is the benefit of this mission for all the community. In the other case, participating to the Artemis mission. So we have been just selected by ESA as the prime for the International Habitation Module and for ESPRIT, which are the two main modules Europe is providing for the Gateway station, as well as being involved on the human space lander and the surface moon surface infrastructure is very exciting for the people, even if the communication has to be in line with explaining not only what is the challenge in terms of the achievement, but what is the benefit for the normal people from all this mission, because the normal comment is why we have to spend all this money or why we have to go to the moon or whatever. So we have also to explain all the benefit that the people in terms of knowledge, in terms of return on the economy, of technology, what is the real application on Earth of all this mission. Of course, more easy for Earth observation satellite or for project like Copernicus, Galileo, and so on, where the benefit for the people is more visible, is more easy sometimes to explain, even if there is a weakness maybe sometimes on explaining to everybody what is the real benefit.
Yes.
But
someone else?
Federico's on mute. I think he had a comment though.
Sorry. Federico, sorry. I take the chance starting from Earth observation from the assist from Walter. EUMETSAT has the next 20 years fully booked in implementing, developing, implementing, and making the user use the next generation polar and the geostationary satellites for climate, weather. So we are talking about 5 missions, plus we have the part of the ocean that still go on, and we also have the component of the Copernicus program that has been mentioned. Of course, engaging and communicating on Earth observation is easier. I totally agree with respect to the dark matter. However, the question of justifying or showing that there is an important data value chain behind that is our priority. And it's a shared priority within the program. So one of the points is not only to communicate and to show which is the benefit, which is the interest, which is also how beauty are the image of our Earth from satellite, also how it can improve and it can improve also the business and the service provision also at the national level. Just to give you an example, I mean, now we can probably improve the capability to nowcast and to forecast the events that we are seeing now in these days, also in northern Italy, strike in northern Italy and Italy with the strong thunderstorm, I mean, in a dramatic way, and this has really to be supported also into expert users. So what we are doing in terms of engagement works on different plans, from the communication for large citizens, but also, and especially in our case, since we are really working with the services, to help the services to make a concrete and a real use of the data to improve the service to the citizens. So it's an endeavoring thing, and is behind a little bit behind the curtains, but it's extremely important.
I think
which one wants to go first?
Liz, you can go first. My comment is not really related.
Okay. So I was just going to say, I think we do a lot of work behind the scenes, and there's some amazing benefits to Earth observation, but actually the general public doesn't always see this. I mean, I even heard a comment, and it was in America, that the question was, why do I need to have more satellites because I get my weather forecasting from the telly? And so there was just a total disconnect. And where did those pictures come from that you saw on the TV every night? And so, I mean, that was from a very low level of education, but somehow we do need to get the education and the information across. We almost need a stamp, you know, brought to you from space that we can put on images and on information and data, so that people realize just how much they depend on it in everyday life.
Yeah. And what about, let's say, space exploration mission? Airbus is now working on a couple of missions. How is that going for your company in terms of preparing engagements? Let's say, for instance, for the rover Rosalind Franklin.
So I have to say, those are the easiest missions to create public engagement behind. With the rover, we have the physical Mars yard testing facility, which the news people love coming to stand on the surface of Mars. And we've built an education center around it, so that children can come and they can see the control room and they can see Mars. And that really does get the public engagement. It's very sad that we've had the 2-year delay, and so. But on the plus side, we've got 2 years more that we can tell the story of ExoMars, and we can talk about Rosalind Franklin. And there are plans to do a huge launch event to kind of bring in as many people as possible around that in 2022 now.
Yes. Yes.
So maybe I can adhere how to engage people. In principle, it's not all about getting the money later on, but I think it shall start with really getting the children in school excited. If they get excited, they will learn what space is, and they will get interested in. They might study then aerospace engineering, physics, and do some investigations there, and then they might be when they're grown interested in paying for this kind of projects, trying to be part of the whole story. So when we start looking on how space can be shown to children, I think it's always seeing the blue marble. So I think the best way to advertise for space in general is what our we can say pop stars or astronauts have done. So Samantha Cristoforetti, for example, started being on the space station. Then Alexander Gerst was really, for at least for the German one, the pop star. Thomas Pesquet the same. Luca Parmitano also. They shown the Earth. They have shown what is inside the space station, and this was really exciting for all of us, even for me and for the young generation. I think this is the starting point: getting interested in space, seeing that the Earth is limited, and then seeing somewhere also that there is a benefit if we look from outside. Therefore, you need satellites. Why do you need a space station and go beyond the Earth, beyond Earth's orbit?
Yeah. Now I see also, starting reading questions from our delegates. There are some that are along this line of like how we can engage with the public. I think we should probably split engagement and excitement. As Elizabeth said, it's much more easy. It's much easier to talk about ExoMars and have people work on Martian regolith rather than talking about Earth observation data. I guess it's much easier to actually excite a person about a human spaceflight mission rather than Earth observation mission or a scientific mission. We have the example of like a launcher. It's something that might inspire and excite a person regardless of the mission that the launcher is launching. How can, and we saw like in the US, for instance, there are some companies like SpaceX or even Blue Origin that hasn't launched anything orbitally yet. They have a big momentum behind them because they are managing to excite without having to explain the benefit of what they are doing. Is there something that European companies can do in this sense to focus more on the hype building rather than rather than showing the exact like benefit that that mission can bring, actually inspire people and excite people just for space itself?
I think that
talking about launches.
Yeah. Okay.
For a launcher company, you know, we have the, let's say, great 3 to 5 minutes when the launch actually is taking place. But afterwards, you know, kind of the launch story is gone because the satellites afterwards do their job, and that's where you can, if you're interested, really understand what we do on Earth thanks to all these satellite-based applications. But again, you know, these 3 to 5 minutes where launch is taking place, that's really where we can really derive a lot of attention, and that's really what excitement is all about. When you see that noise, when you see that fire and the noise associated with it, it's I think those people who are interested in space, they watch these launches.
Yes.
However, the broad public, usually when we launch from French Guiana, it's many times in the middle of the night, so it's certainly not easy. But I'm sure there are means to create more interest in having more public watching actually starts or launches from French Guiana in that particular case. But again, it's difficult to address new people. Those who are anyhow interested, they watch, but I don't have a recipe right in my hands what to be changed in order to attract more people.
I would say that Europe has more hurdles to overcome in this, because the US is one nation, whereas Europe, we are so many different countries with so many different cultures and different languages that actually there's not really a sort of a one size fits all, as we would say, approach to engaging in everybody. You need to do things more on the local level, which then makes it smaller and more difficult. But I do think there are some lessons to learn. I think one that really stands out to me was when SpaceX launched the Falcon Heavy for the first time, and it had to have something on board. And when we have done that in Europe, we use mass dummies, large blocks of metal, and SpaceX launched a car, a Tesla with a suit inside it. So they had their Starman and their car. Now there are different arguments, and does that count as space junk, and is it a sensible thing to do? But it certainly captured the imagination of the whole world. And so perhaps we also need to be a little bit more creative and with some out-of-the-box thinking for some of our engagement. Yes,
I agree that it's, as Europeans, diversity is definitely diversity of nationality is a benefit that we can have, but at the same time, it makes things harder because, of course, even just the language, it makes like a big barrier to cross among the various space nations. We were speaking about the world, so I don't know if somebody had another point on this. Otherwise, I would like to move on what emerging space nations and emerging space countries and what actually our delegates can do to build this as individual, this kind of excitement. I was reading some questions.
If I can add one thing, just for discussion. We come back to the time of the Apollo, which was an extremely exciting mission, also looking at the time it happened. don't forget that after a couple of missions, the interest of the people go down quite significantly. And without the Apollo 13, it would have even went down even more. So I think, and as well, it is for the launcher. The launcher are a routine for us, but SpaceX and the Blue Origin are making every launch something. They put something like the Tesla or something different, which make interest and engage the people, because there is always something new, something specific. So in terms of exciting and engaging are two different things, of course, because a lot of people are excited but not engaged in the long period. We have to consider also this, because what is the challenges, really the challenge, something difficult, something which is at the limit of the human capability to really engage the people, because then become routine.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. It's again also excitement. It's hard to keep it alive. Of course, there are ways. I'm pretty sure that we have communications department in each one of your organizations that are trying to work on this very hard. I think it's important to also keep engage other nations and not focusing just on Europeans, or as the Americans do. They are doing things for themselves, but at the same time they have a global reach, because we are all here speaking in English, even though none of us is American. We have a British person, but this is pretty much the reality of the 21st century, or the early 21st century. So I wanted to speak a little bit about these other players, and we have emerging space players, and we have actually a question from one of our delegates, Alexander from Poland, that is asking how can, and I'm integrating also, how can people from countries, individuals from countries that are emerging space countries with emerging space agencies, how can they work better in as the individuals and the countries of themselves to create momentum behind their new national space efforts? What as you are all experienced industry players, so what as industry players and the organization involved in space, how will you do that?
I think I just gave a quick comment on that. I mean, since it comes from Poland, I mean, Poland is one of the member countries of EUMETSAT and of ESA and of ACNWF, that is providing another organization that provides the weather forecast. And I think Europe gives a very good example on how to engage smaller countries. It is clear that the space program is impossible for a small country. I mean, not because of lack of creativity and of know-how, but just for the difficulty and of budgeting and of having an infrastructure to make this happen. And I think Europe with an agency like us, but I mean like ESA, with the Copernicus program, is doing something that is really endeavoring in that sense. Is not probably charming and exciting like what NASA can do as a central one, but also giving the possibility also to the smaller countries in Europe is a great thing, because any country at the end has the same chances than the other ones. Yeah. And I think that this is a model that can be replied and shall be replied. We are doing all our best to have a good connection and to have a cooperation with the emerging countries. There are many cooperation with Korea, for instance, that are doing a lot. There is, of course, a cooperation and discussion with China. There are cooperation with Japan, and this concept of working together and joining the effort is the way to engage the smaller countries.
Okay.
To engage the smaller entities.
I'm sorry, Federico. We have just 1 minute left, so I would like to conclude this with I would like just a single word or a couple of words from each one of you on how each single individual can help boost excitement about his national or her national space sector. Just a few words by each one of you.
I think in principle, be positive.
Okay.
Proper sense of the word. Always question things. And you do not accept an answer for granted. You continue questioning, obviously in a constructive way, yes. Learn from your experienced colleagues, bring in new ideas, promote diversity, communicate. So I think there's a lot to do, which seems to be very, very basic, but I think these basic things really can do good change.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Alexander.
Make the impossible possible. Don't put limit and be positive, and think that the only limit is your creativity. So be ambitious and don't have dream and don't have limit, because without what we are realizing is the dreams of the generation which were behind us.
Okay. Thank you, Walter.
I would say know that you are an ambassador for the space industry and the space sector. And as we all know that it's great, but say yes to any opportunity to talk about it to people outside our sector. Say yes to going into schools, to talking on panels that are not space related, and do what you can to be that positive ambassador.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Well, I think all the individuals here have done the first step to being part in this SGSC type of getting engaged, talking about space, talking about future. So continue with this. Engage yourself. Join others. Stay excited. Celebrate things like any space activity, any other opportunity where we can celebrate on historical dates and so on.
Thank you. And I think Federico's the last one.
Yeah, just communicated the fact that we do a great job. We do something that is always exciting, is always new, and keep ourselves alive. And also don't deny the hard part, so that to be strong and to keep the program and to be patient, waiting for the results to come.
Okay, thank you all. Yeah, I think this was a very interesting panel. We are now, I would have kept doing it for another 1 hour probably, but we have another panelist that is lining up. So I really thank you all again for joining us today. And I thank the delegates for the questions and for being here. So yeah, I wish you all a great afternoon or evening, wherever you are. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
That was great.
Yes, thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.